You are now listening to the Drowsy Trader. Before we begin, would you do something for me? In the comments, tell me what time it is for you and where in the world you're listening from. I read every one of them, and I always wonder, who's out there sharing this quiet moment? If these journeys help you rest or slow down or just dream a little deeper, consider liking or subscribing, but only if it truly brings you peace. Now, close your eyes. Tonight, you are not yourself. You are a Wall Street trader in the final days of 1999. Screens flicker softly in the pre-dawn darkness. Your desk is cluttered with scribbled notes and half-drunk cups of coffee. Outside, Manhattan is quiet, unaware of the storm that's quietly gathering. Your job? To ride waves of belief, momentum, and speculation. To make decisions swiftly, clearly, and calmly, even when certainty fades into whispers and shadows. This is a day of dizzying heights and quiet hesitations, of exuberance that slowly turns into caution, of euphoria replaced by humble reflection. But it's also a day of gentle revelation, a careful voice in your mind urging caution, a quiet pause between rapid heartbeats, and a moment after markets close when you finally ask yourself what it all means. Let go. Let the stillness begin. The Drowsy Trader presents You Are a Trader During the .com Bubble. The Gateway 2000 desktop in the corner hums softly, a dull and constant whir. It never really turns off. All night, the CRT monitor has cast its faint blue glow across the room. Your room, if it can still be called that. A folding chair, a desk packed with research clippings, and a bed that hasn't been made in weeks. The space feels more like a staging area than a home. Outside, Manhattan is still dark. A soft gray light bleeds through the single-pane window, and the radiator beside your desk groans as if protesting the November chill. You haven't moved in hours. You fell asleep here, again, with your tie still on and a half-eaten bagel congealing on its wax paper sleeve. The desktop flickers with static, then loads your Netscape homepage. It's slow, always is. You reach for the coffee cup from yesterday morning, but it's empty and bitter cold. You don't care. You sip anyway. The caffeine might be gone, but the ritual is the point. Your desk is a battlefield. Pages torn from thestreet.com, scrawled with margin notes and circled quotes. IPO calendars. Chart printouts. Two battered issues of Red Herring lie open like sacred texts. One cover screams, "The New Rock Stars, eToys, Akamai, and the Rise of the Next Generation." You stare at the names. You've memorized every one. Then, a faint buzz. Your Motorola pager vibrates against the desk, casting tiny ripples through a coffee ring. A message flashes briefly. Get in early. Syndicate's got whispers. That's all it says. That's all it needs to say. Suddenly, you're wide awake. You loosen your tie, still halfway around your collar from last night. You take a deep breath, one that fills your chest with cold air and something else, a sharp edge of adrenaline. Today isn't just another trading day. There's an undercurrent. You feel it in your gut. Something is about to launch. You throw on black slacks and a crisp white shirt, polished leather shoes. You skip breakfast. No time for that. You pocket your ID badge, your Metro card, and a folded page of notes detailing VA Linux systems. IPO priced at $30. Rumors say $200 on the open. Maybe more. Outside, the air is cutting. Diesel fumes mix with wet pavement and steam from the corner bodega. The city hasn't fully woken up, but you can feel it twitching, beginning to stretch. You nod to the shopkeeper arranging oranges in stacked pyramids. He nods back, indifferent. To him, it's just another day. But you know better. You descend into the subway. The platform is half full, half suits, half laborers, all moving through routines worn into muscle memory. You step into the 2 train. It screeches to life. You grab the rail. To your left, a banker in a pinstripe suit flips through a leather binder stuffed with M&A pitch decks. To your right, a young analyst whispers urgently into a Nokia flip phone. I told them under 90 was a steal for Amazon. His knuckles are white as he grips the phone. His voice wavers with excitement or fear, maybe both. You stare forward, your thoughts drifting. Your mind loops back to the numbers. VA Linux, founded in '93 as VA Research, backed by Intel and Sequoia. $17.7 million in revenue. Almost $15 million in losses. No profit. But no one cares. This isn't about fundamentals. This is about belief. This is about velocity. It's about who gets in first and who's left holding the bag. As the train lurches forward, your reflection bounces in the window, hollow-eyed, focused, wired, before the day even begins. You check your notes again. You know the symbol already. LNUX. That's what will blink across every screen this morning. That's the ticker that could change your entire year. You emerge from underground onto Wall Street, where marble facades tower over narrow lanes. The sidewalks glisten faintly with morning drizzle. Your breath fogs the air. The lobby of your brokerage is mostly silent. A sleepy-eyed security guard waves you through without looking up from his styrofoam cup. You take the stairs. Always the stairs. 2 at a time. Your heartbeat rises with every floor. Not from exertion, but from momentum. This is the ascent. You push open the heavy door to the trading floor and pause. There's a moment, just one, where the whole world is still. And then it begins. Phones start ringing. Monitors boot up in staggered chorus. The room fills with sound. Not loud, not yet, but alive. A low murmur of purpose. You take your seat. The leather is worn and cracked, shaped to your frame. The screens in front of you flicker awake, slowly loading through Netscape Navigator. It's like waiting for a rocket to refuel. Morning, Marcus says without looking. He's already typing, young, brilliant, still believes in everything. You nod, your eyes locked on the ticker window. Yahoo Finance loads. Finally. LNUX. No trades yet, no volume, just air. But you know that won't last. You slide on your phone headset. Your finger hovers over speed dial. And then you press it. Syndicate, a voice answers. Got anything for retail, you ask, keeping your voice flat. The other end chuckles. Not officially, but I got you 300. You owe me. A flash of heat pulses through your chest. 300 shares. At open. If the rumors are true, that's more than a month's pay in a single trade. If you flip it fast. If you don't get greedy. You whisper a thank you and hang up. You lean back, hands folded across your lap, and watch the screens as they begin to populate. The market doesn't open for another 2 hours, but already you can feel it moving. Not the numbers, but the room. The traders arriving one by one. The signals warming up like an orchestra tuning before the overture. This is what you live for. Not just the money, not just the rush, the possibility. And today, it feels infinite. The room fills steadily. Phones begin to chirp like birds at dawn, a soft prelude to the chaos that's coming. Screens cast pale light across tired faces. Every trader carries the same expression, practiced calm masking coiled energy. You settle into your space fully now. Adjust your chair, crack your knuckles. Pull today's positions up on your screen. The servers lag. They always do on days like this. Too many eyes watching, too many hands ready to pounce. Across the floor, Jake strolls in. Always late, always smug. His tie is loose, sleeves rolled. He swings a paper bag in one hand and a folded Wall Street Journal in the other. LNUX hits $250, I'm buying you lunch, he says casually. You raise an eyebrow. If it hits $250, lunch is on me. He laughs and disappears into his booth. That's Jake. He never doubts the rocket, even when it's pointed at the sun. The desk to your right belongs to Marcus, still in his first year. His energy buzzes off him like static electricity. You feel that? He asks, barely above a whisper. You nod. It's in the air, a charge, the kind that makes your skin prickle and your fingers twitch. 100 small signs that something enormous is about to happen. You double-check the allocation confirmation. 300 shares, locked in. LNUX is priced at $30, but already whispers are flying. First print north of $200. Some say $250. One guy said $300 and got laughed at, but not anymore. You refresh the screen. Still no trades, but the bid/ask spread is getting wild. Market makers are fumbling, trying to pin the opening range. There's no playbook for this. The phones start ringing for real now. Clients calling in early, unusual for retail. They want to confirm orders, ask questions, or just hear the confidence in your voice. What do you think? One asks. You keep it cool. It's gonna open hot. Might cool quick. Be ready to move. He exhales into the receiver. Let's do it. Full size. You nod, logging the order. That makes 6 of them, each one swinging for the fences. You've never seen this much appetite. The room gets louder. Traders talk over one another. Pull quotes on CMGI. Check Akamai's spread. Cisco just crossed 100. At 9 a.m., CNBC cuts to a live report. You glance up at the muted TV hanging above the floor. VA Linux poised for historic debut, the headline reads. You don't need the sound. The anchor's faces say it all. Wide eyes leaning forward, lips forming phrases like unprecedented, euphoria, mania. The camera pans to a crowd outside the NASDAQ market site. Journalists and retail traders bundled in coats, holding homemade signs. LNUX to the moon. Buy first, ask later. You look around the room. Everyone's watching. Then, the bell. It's not loud, not in the literal sense, but it echoes like thunder through the bones of the building, like the starter pistol of a race you've been training for your entire life. Your monitor explodes with green. LNUX. Open $299. Plus 897%. A sharp inhale cuts through the room, a collective gasp that borders on disbelief. You don't hesitate. You hit sell on all 300 shares. Executed. Done. Clean. You stare at the screen, momentarily stunned. 300 shares at $299. A trade that would have felt unthinkable yesterday. Now, it's just the first breath of the morning. Your headset clicks. You in? Asks your biggest client. Out, you reply. Full fill, 300 at the open. Silence. Then, Jesus. Jake hoots from his desk. 309 print? This thing is eating the sun. Marcus leaps from his chair. I'm up 6 figures! I've never even seen 6 figures! The floor detonates. Phones ring endlessly. Traders shout. Chairs roll. Coffee spills. CNBC's anchor is holding a printout in both hands, visibly shaking. The word speculative is used twice in the same sentence. Still, the ticker screams higher. You glance at your screen. VA Linux surges to $320, then $330. Each tick feels less real than the last. Every trader is moving now, buying, selling, screaming into phones. The entire brokerage becomes a storm, and you're in the eye of it. Your hands are calm, your breath steady. You've locked in more than 20 grand before most of the city finished breakfast. But you don't feel done. No one ever does on a day like this. You refresh a dozen tickers. Akamai, up 17%. Redback, up 22%. eToys, spiking hard. CMGI, widespread, but climbing. The forum chatter is already going parabolic. You skim the headlines from Silicon Investor and Raging Bull. LNUX to $1,000. Market. This is our Netscape moment. You'll regret selling. You don't believe any of it. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that they do. A trader 2 desks down starts high-fiving everyone within reach. Just doubled on Akamai. Who needs fundamentals? Laughter. Wild. Unrestrained. Not joy. Not really. Something closer to hysteria. Marcus grabs your arm. Is this what it's always like? You shake your head slowly. No, this is rare. He nods, eyes still wide. Feels like flying. It is, you reply, until it's not. You return your attention to the monitor. The charts are insane. No patterns, no logic, just vertical lines, jagged peaks, and little explosions of volume. Jake yells across the room, "Anyone in Redback? They just halted." You glance up. Redback's chart is frozen, a regulatory timeout. Too much action, too fast. And still, the energy builds. Everywhere you look, greed is becoming religion. The opening hour is nearly over, but no one slows down. Phones are still ringing. Orders still flood the screens. Someone at the back is standing on their chair, fist raised, eyes wild. You take a deep breath. Not because you're panicked, but because you need to feel your own lungs. This morning has already redefined your year, and it's only 9:45. You quietly sip what's left of your coffee. It's cold, and you don't care. Your screen flickers again. LNUX, $342.11. Somewhere inside you, a quiet voice murmurs, "This can't last." But that's not for now. Now, you ride. The floor doesn't settle after the opening bell. It swells. The noise, the motion, the sheer heat of it, all of it intensifies. Phones ring 2 at a time. Traders shout over one another. Orders fly in from every direction, and the room becomes less of a workplace and more of a living organism, pulsing, consuming, moving of its own will. VA Linux isn't slowing down, not even close. 342, then 346, then 352. The ticker updates in flashes, each one defying belief. It's not climbing, it's levitating. You already made your money, already locked in your trade. You should feel satisfied. But your pulse is still elevated. Your screen lights up again. CMG, I just broke $130. Jake slams down his receiver, eyes wild. "Redbacks back up!" he shouts. "Who's in? Who's got size?" You shake your head. He doesn't wait for an answer. Marcus spins around in his chair. "Akamai's got legs. I'm adding. This thing's unstoppable." He's flush with adrenaline, fingers trembling slightly as he types. All around you, traders are pushing. Buying secondaries, grabbing size inside plays, catching whatever momentum they can before it evaporates. It's not just about being right. It's about being first, fastest, loudest. Your headset clicks. Another client. "I saw the open," he says breathlessly. "Are we too late?" You glance at the screen. LNUX, $358.94. You should say yes. But you don't. Not quite. "It's risky now," you tell him, "but there's still room if you're disciplined." "Do it," he says. "Half position, tight stop." You execute it cleanly. Another trade on the board. Another client riding the rocket. The euphoria is infectious. The logic, irrelevant. Bloomberg updates again. Top 5 IPO gains of all time. VA Linux is #1, not just for the day, ever. On CNBC, the anchor stares at the camera, blinking. He says the words "unprecedented volatility" as if they're new to him. In the corner of your eye, Marcus is bouncing in his seat. "I'm up 80 grand in one day. My parents don't make that in a year." You nod, but inside, a quiet warning bell rings. No company should rise this fast, not on this little revenue, not with this kind of burn rate. But that logic doesn't matter now. Fundamentals are whispers drowned out by the roar. Raging Bull is melting down. You open a thread. "Just quit my job. Full-time trading now." This is 1995 Netscape all over again. Hold, LNUX, the real move hasn't started. Another thread declares Akamai the next Amazon. You laugh quietly. That used to sound like hyperbole. Now it's a thesis. You refresh Akamai. Plus 23% on the day. Volume triple the daily average. Jake walks by with a Red Bull in one hand, his tie draped around his neck like a towel. "This," he says, "is what heaven feels like." He winks, then disappears into a knot of traders yelling about e-toys. Marcus leans closer to you. "What if this never ends?" You look at him. He's not joking. His face is serious, hopeful even. He's trying to imagine a future where every day is like this, where the market only goes up. You want to say something measured, something that will stick, but you don't, not yet. Instead, you offer him a half smile. "Let's just get through today," you say. A voice across the room calls out, "Anyone got CMGI puts? There's no volume, no one's hedging." No one replies. No one's hedging. Not today. Today, fear is extinct. More screens flash. More traders cheer. Redback halts again. Excited Home gets upgraded out of nowhere. Someone says Amazon just printed 97. Every new high becomes a dare. You call another client. She picks up immediately. "Should I chase LNUX?" she asks. You pause, just for a second, then speak with calm conviction. "Start with a quarter. If it pulls back, add." You hang up and stare at the screen. LNUX, $368.77. You sold at $299. Felt brilliant an hour ago. Now it feels like you left money on the table. That's the trick this market plays. Even the winners feel left behind. Marcus jumps up. "Did you see that? eToys just cleared 30. I'm going back in." He's glowing, completely high on movement. You glance over at Jake. He's on two phones at once, sweating through his shirt, yelling about float lockups and RSI divergence. But he's smiling, all teeth, like a man who thinks the wheels finally landed on his number. Behind it all, a voice begins to whisper in your head. It's quiet, faint, but clear. This can't last. You blink hard, shake it off. For now, the market still believes. And in this game, belief is price. The hour ticks on. The desk smells like burnt coffee and overheated electronics. The air grows warmer, charged by motion, breath, friction. You glance at the clock. It's not even 11 a.m. The day is young. The mania is just getting started. And somewhere inside you, a single inescapable thought begins to take root. Every rocket has a ceiling, even this one. The floor is still buzzing, but it isn't as sharp now. The edge has dulled just slightly. Imperceptible if you're chasing momentum, but obvious if you're standing still. You lean back in your chair and breathe. For the first time today, you're not executing, you're watching. The screens still glow green, but some of the moves have started to level. Akamai is hovering now. Redback is struggling to break its earlier high. Even VA Linux has started ticking sideways. You stare at the L2 quotes. The bids are thinning. No one says it out loud, not yet, but you can feel it. The room is still loud, still frantic, but the tone has changed. It's harder to name, not panic, not fear, just a small, creeping sense that the top may not be far off. You glance at Marcus. He's still in, still clicking, still caught up in the storm, but his face has changed. He's chewing the inside of his cheek, not smiling anymore. Jake is pacing. He's still bragging. Still loud, but now it sounds rehearsed, defensive, like he's trying to talk the market back into motion. Then Bloomberg updates. You read the headline twice. Yahoo to acquire Broadcast.com in $5.7 billion all-stock deal. You exhale through your nose. Hard. $5.7 billion? Marcus blurts. For video streams that don't even work? Someone behind you laughs. Mark Cuban just bought his own spaceship, Jake mutters. Good for him. The room crackles with nervous energy. You glance back at LNUX. Still holding over $360, but not moving. Not really. Not like this morning. Another thread appears on Raging Bull. You read it over your shoulder. If LNUX doesn't break $400 by 1 p.m., I'm out. A trader 3 desks down mutters, "Me too." You check the time. 11:27. On CNBC, a panel of analysts is discussing valuation models. One of them uses the word unsustainable. Another smiles too wide and says, "These companies are rewriting the rules." You hear 2 guys behind you arguing softly. Something about cash burn, debt structure, lockup periods. No one would have cared about that an hour ago. You look at Marcus. He's reading too now, not clicking. His eyes are scanning message boards, financial news, chat logs, looking for something, reassurance maybe. He turns to you, quietly. Why isn't LNUX breaking higher? You think for a second. Then you answer honestly. Because someone's selling. He doesn't respond. The words hang there, between you. And then, finally, it happens. Excite at home, drops 18% in 6 minutes. No news, no explanation, just down. The floor stirs, a few traders shout, a few screens flash red. Marcus looks rattled. What the hell is that? You refresh quotes, watch the volume. It's real, not a glitch. The stock is falling, fast. Jake yells, "Someone just dumped a block, no stop, just panic." Another trader chimes in, "It's one of the funds, probably Lightspeed." More murmurs. Then quiet. The floor doesn't collapse, no stampede, but something fundamental shifts in the posture of the room. You feel it in your shoulders, in your breath. Clients start calling again. But the tone is different now. "Should I lock in?" one asks. "Are we good?" says another. You keep your voice steady. You tell them to stay disciplined, that volatility is normal, that you're watching it all closely. You are, very closely. At 12:03, CMGI dips hard. 10 points in minutes. You check your notes. There were rumors of a downgrade this morning, nothing confirmed. But someone clearly knows something. Marcus is pale now. He turns to you. What do I do? You give him the only answer that matters. Decide if you're trading the chart or the story. He swallows hard and nods, but you're not sure he understood. The message boards shift tone, almost in sync. Bravado gives way to theory. Posters asking about exit plans, hedge ratios, VWAP. You watch it all like a mirror, the crowd revealing itself in real time. At 12:25, CNBC's tone changes too. The anchor reads a statement from an institutional fund. We're reducing exposure to overextended names and reallocating into core growth. Translated, we're cashing out. Akamai wobbles. You check VA Linux again. $359.77. Still holding. But that ceiling is hardening. You push back from your desk and stand for a moment. You look across the room. It's still moving, still loud, but not the same kind of loud. Now it feels like everyone's listening for the same thing. The sound of the other shoe. Lunch goes unnoticed. Most of the desks are still full. Greasy sandwiches sit uneaten, coffee cups half drunk and going cold. Nobody wants to miss anything. But it's not greed keeping them glued to their screens now. It's uncertainty. VA Linux is holding, but barely. It hasn't made a new high in almost 2 hours. The volume's still massive, but the pace is off. Each tick feels like it takes longer to arrive. Marcus finally peels himself away and walks back from the vending machine with a Red Bull and a 1,000-yard stare. He doesn't say anything. Just sits down, cracks the can, and stares at his screen. "Back in?" you ask. He shakes his head. "Not yet." You glance over at Jake. He's mid-call, voice loud and forceful. But it's not bravado anymore. It's something more desperate. You hear him say the phrase "temporary pullback" twice in under a minute. You lean in toward your screen. Akamai, minus 4.3%. CMGI, minus 7.8%. Redback, halted again. You shift your legs, crack your knuckles. This part of the day always feels slower, even when it's not. It's the moment when adrenaline starts to wear thin and reality begins to reassert itself. CNBC flashes another headline. Nasdaq Volatility Index spikes to 6-month high. The floor doesn't react much. No jokes, no panic. Just a few muttered comments and side glances. Then the call comes. "Hey, I'm thinking we start trimming," a longtime client says. "Not everything. Just the stuff that's doubled. What do you think?" You don't argue. You agree. You execute the trades with care. You check VA Linux again. $351.20. Down 8 from its high. Not catastrophic, but the pressure is downward now, not upward. Another trader nearby lets out a quiet "huh" as eToys drops 6% on no news. You glance up. He looks genuinely confused. And that's when it starts to dawn on you. This market doesn't need news to turn. It just needs permission. A rumor, a big fund selling, a moment of hesitation. That's all it takes. The same speculative energy that drives things upward can turn vicious on the way down. At 1:10 p.m., Jake slams his mouse on the desk. "Someone's pulling liquidity," he growls. "Look at this spread. It's garbage." You check. He's not wrong. Market makers have widened out on several of the big names. Not much, but just enough. Enough to signal caution. Enough to break momentum. Marcus refreshes his L2 feed again and again. "There's no depth," he whispers. You don't reply. You're watching CMGI slide another 2%. Quietly. No panic. Just steady bleed. In the corner of your vision, the TV cuts to a new panel. This one more cautious. One of the analysts, older, calm, says, "Every cycle has a moment where the players know it's gone too far. They never agree on the day, but they always agree in hindsight." You glance around. A few traders are watching now, listening even. Then, Akamai breaks its morning low. eToys pulls below support. Redback gets another volatility halt. You exhale slowly. It's not a crash. Not yet. But it's no longer a rally either. It's drift. Decay. A slow unraveling beneath a still shining surface. You pick up your headset and call 3 clients in a row. The message is the same. "We had a great morning. Let's not get greedy." No need to exit completely. Just scale. Preserve what we've earned. They all agree. They can feel it too. Jake catches your eye. He gives a tight nod. He's doing the same thing. Hedging, rotating, pulling chips off the table. Marcus doesn't say anything. He's staring at VA Linux like it owes him something. Finally, he speaks. "Is it over?" You think about it. About the silence between ticks. About the tension behind each trade. About the way the room has shifted. And then you say it carefully. "It's not over, but the music's quieter now." He nods, slowly, eyes still fixed on his screen. At 1:45 p.m., Broadcast.com spikes again on new rumors that Cuban might join Yahoo's board. Someone yells out, "They're making billionaires faster than they're making bagels!" But it falls flat. The room doesn't laugh. Not like it did this morning. The joke's too close to the truth. The tone has changed. Not with a crash, not with screaming or alarms, just stillness. For the first time today, there are gaps between the shouts, pauses between phone rings. You can hear keyboards clicking again. You can hear people breathing. The floor is quieter, not silent, but tighter, more careful. You look down at your screen. LNUX VA Linux Systems is still holding above 330, but it's no longer surging, no longer testing new highs. The movement now is twitchy, jittery, almost nervous. You switch to Redback. It just dropped 10% in 2 minutes. No news, no catalyst, just gone. Then egghead.com, down 12%. Then 15%. Still no headlines, still no answers, just red. You glance at Marcus. His face is pale, his lips slightly parted, like he's trying to speak but can't find the words. He stares at his screen like he's waiting for it to apologize. "What's happening?" he finally asks. You don't answer right away. You scroll through the tickers, Akamai, eToys, CMGI, all pulling back. Not hard enough to panic, but too fast to ignore. You exhale and keep your voice steady. "Buyers are starting to sit down," you say, "and the sellers are getting bolder." Marcus doesn't respond, but his hand slowly moves off the keyboard and rests in his lap. Across the room, Jake slams down his phone and stands. "That's ridiculous," he says to no one in particular. "Nothing's changed. These are just profit takers." But his voice doesn't carry the same swagger it did an hour ago. He looks around for someone to agree with him, but no one answers. Everyone's too busy watching their own screens. You glance up at CNBC. The host is reading from a statement just released by a major institutional desk. "In light of extreme valuations, we're reducing exposure to certain high-momentum names and reallocating into longer-duration growth." You translate it silently. They're pulling out. It only takes one big name to step back, and suddenly, everyone wants to be first out the door. You look back at LNUX, $332.10. No panic, just drift. But the curve has turned. The message boards feel different too. You scroll through them absently. This morning, every post was a rocket ship, diamond hands, party hats. Now, should I take profits here? Feels like the top. Hearing big funds are rotating out. You switch to CMGI, down 11%. The volume bar is huge. Someone dumped a block. Another voice chimes in behind you. Feels like this is unwinding. It's not shouted, it's almost a whisper, but it spreads. Heads turn. The trader who said it doesn't even flinch. He just shrugs like he's said what needed to be said. Jake's voice rises again. "This is temporary. It's just healthy consolidation. Look at the longer trend." But he's not convincing anyone, not even himself. Marcus leans toward you. His voice is low, his throat tight. "I just gave back 30 grand. You nod. "I know." He stares at the screen again. His trades are bleeding, not rapidly, but steadily. The kind of loss that erodes confidence with each tick. You refresh LNUX. $328.80. You sold at $299. That felt brilliant this morning. Now it feels like mercy. At 2:23, Bloomberg pushes another alert. CMGI facing possible downgrade. Analysts cite excessive forward multiples. You know that language. It's code, institutional code for "we're out, you should be too." The words echo across the floor. Excessive forward multiples. 3 desks down, someone mutters. That's the same language they used before the crash in '87. The phrase hangs there like a shadow. You sit back in your chair and rub your eyes. All morning you were riding wind, now you're studying gravity. Jake walks past you, Red Bull in one hand, jacket slung over his shoulder. "I'm doubling down," he says, but he doesn't look at you. He says it like a dare, not to anyone else, to himself. You don't reply. You've seen it before, the false defiance, the bravado that's really fear dressed up in louder clothes. Then, almost out of nowhere, the room stirs again. Frank, the veteran trader at the far end of the floor, stands. He doesn't say a word. He just shuts his terminal, folds his coat over one arm, and walks out. That's it. Just leaves. No one speaks, but everyone sees it. Because Frank doesn't leave early, ever. You hear the intern at the back whisper, "If Frank's going flat." The sentence doesn't even need to finish. The message is received. The floor changes again. Not suddenly, but completely. Like a party where the music stops and everyone starts checking the time. Another client calls. You recognize the number before you pick up. A long-timer. Smart money. "You still in?" he asks. "I scaled out," you say truthfully. A pause. "Good," he says. "Let's raise some cash. We'll reload when it resets." You nod, even though he can't see it. "Smart," you reply. "I'll handle it." You look at Marcus. He's frozen, his hand hovering over the mouse. "I don't know what to do," he says. You speak quietly. "Then do less." He looks at you, confused. Sometimes the smartest move is to pause, let the market tell you what's real. He doesn't answer, but he doesn't click either, and that's something. You glance at the wall clock. It's almost 3 o'clock. The final hour looms, the most dangerous part of the day. You take one last look at LNUX, $324.55. You lean back in your chair and breathe. The rally may not be over, but the feeling is. The final hour begins like the tightening of a throat. No alarms, no sirens, just a slow compression. The volume doesn't spike, it narrows. Trades become thinner, voices lower. Movement sharpens into precision. Nobody wants to make a mistake now. Not with so much on the line. Your monitor reflects fading numbers in a cold palette of green, red, and gray. The glow hits your cheek like backlit doubt. You're no longer chasing trades. You're observing, waiting, guarding what's left of the morning's triumph. The goal now isn't glory, it's preservation. Jake is still loud, but his voice has changed. There's a push to it now, a forcefulness that sounds too rehearsed. He's telling clients the dip is healthy, that the shakeout is natural, but he's not fooling anyone anymore, not even himself. His collar is wilted, his hair slightly unkempt, and his foot taps the floor faster than before. Marcus hasn't spoken in 20 minutes. His Red Bull is untouched. His chair barely squeaks when he shifts. Every few seconds, he adjusts his glasses, then stares back at the same 3 charts: VA Linux, Akamai, and CMGI. All of them are bleeding, not collapsing, but unraveling, line by line. You refresh your screen. LNUX, $319.70. The bids are vanishing. The spread is widening. Volume is dropping. The rocket isn't crashing. It's drifting into the upper atmosphere, burning what's left of its fuel. No direction, just altitude without lift. Then a flash. Another downgrade, this one from a top-tier desk. CMGI again. The alert cuts across Bloomberg like a blade. Sustainability risk. Model projects no EPS before 2005. The floor reacts this time. Not with panic, with movement. Traders reach for phones, notepads, keyboards. Not to chase, to exit, to rotate. To scale down before the music stops completely. You see heads nodding silently. eyes meeting, then darting back to screens. Jake hangs up the phone and exhales hard through his nose. He mutters something about overreaction and slams his hand down on the desk. The sound echoes, but no one turns, no one answers. The truth is settling in. This wasn't a correction, it was a peak. And now, every tick downward feels more like gravity remembered. A trader at the far end of the room stands up, puts on his coat, and leaves with a nod. No words, just motion. He's done for the day, maybe the week, maybe the year. You execute a few more orders, partial exits for cautious clients, no full liquidations. Not yet. But the tone of the calls is different now. They're not asking if it's going higher. They're asking how far it might fall. The hunger is gone, replaced by something quieter, sharper, awareness. You check the time, 3:27 p.m. Just over 30 minutes left. The market feels tired now, as if it knows the show is ending but doesn't want to say it out loud. Tickers stutter. Execution slows. The spreads widen just a hair more. Liquidity is thinner, risk heavier. You look at Marcus. He finally turns to you and speaks, quietly. "I thought it would go higher." You nod. So did everyone. His hands tremble slightly. Not from fear, from fatigue. The adrenaline's run dry. What remains is the weight of clarity. The realization that excitement is easy, but endings take work. Across the room, someone laughs bitterly. "Amazon's back under 90. Again." Nobody answers. It just hangs in the air like the closing bell already rang. You turn your head toward the windows. The light outside is changing. Golden, then dim. The sun's going down. You hadn't even noticed. The numbers on your screen hold steady, but they feel different now. Static, faded, like echoes of something brighter. 3:42 p.m. You speak to 2 more clients. Calmly, smoothly, you guide them through what's next, not what's now. That's how this business works. You don't just trade numbers, you manage nerves. You reload the LNUX chart one last time. $312.55. The open was $299. You remind yourself that technically it's still up, but nobody in the room feels richer. Jake slumps back into his chair. His tie is undone. His voice is quiet now. No declarations, no calls. He just sits there, staring. 3:57. Marcus reaches for his mouse, not to trade, but to log out, slowly, like he's turning off a light in a room that no longer belongs to him. And then, at last, the sound. The closing bell. Sharp, brief, definitive. The floor doesn't cheer. There's no celebration. Just a long exhale. You remove your headset, fold your notepad, lean back in your chair and stare at the ceiling for a moment. You survive the day. But you're not sure what you feel. Triumph? Caution? Relief? The room begins to empty. Coats go on. Screens go dark. The clatter of departure is quieter than usual. Jake stands slowly, gives a nod, and walks out without a word. Marcus lingers. He turns to you before leaving. "What happens tomorrow?" You pause, watching the screens blink off, one by one. "We'll see," you say. But today was the easy part. You step outside, and the air hits you like a slow wave. Cool, soft. The sharp edges of the trading floor fade quickly into memory. Out here, Manhattan moves at a different speed. Steady, indifferent, unaware. You walk down Wall Street, passing people who have no idea what happened today. No clue about the profits made and lost, the thrill or fear that ran through 1,000 trades. To them, it was just another day. Normal, routine, forgettable. Your footsteps echo softly along damp pavement. Streetlights flicker to life, creating gentle pools of amber against the deepening twilight. The city's noise, horns, voices, distant laughter, feels muted, softer than usual, as if everything has turned down in deference to your thoughts. You glance upward at rows of glowing office windows stacked high into the sky. Behind each pane of glass is someone else's life, a different story, separate and unaware of your own. It feels strange to think that somewhere inside these buildings, other people face their own battles today. Different stakes, different outcomes, yet the same universal struggle. At the corner deli, the bell above the door jingles softly as you enter. The cashier nods, recognizing you but offering nothing more than a brief, polite smile. You order mechanically, a sandwich, something simple, something predictable. You realize you haven't eaten since last night, and your stomach suddenly feels hollow. While you wait, your eyes drift to a small TV on the shelf above the register. A local news anchor reads traffic reports, weather updates, routine headlines. Nothing about markets, nothing about VA Linux or CMGI, nothing about the seismic shifts that felt so monumental just hours ago. The deli owner hands you your sandwich wrapped tightly in white paper. You pay, exchange muted thanks, and step back outside. Nightfall has deepened now, and street lamps cast a comforting glow over sidewalks slick from earlier rain. Your shoes tap softly on pavement, a gentle rhythm guiding you home. You turn onto your block, the street lined with parked cars and quiet apartments. A dog barks faintly somewhere, distant and muffled behind walls. Windows glow softly here and there, televisions flickering behind blinds, life continuing gently and privately, undisturbed. Undisturbed. Your apartment is small, quiet, and dark when you enter. You don't flip on the overhead lights right away. Instead, you pause in the soft shadows of your entryway. For just a moment, you breathe deeply, savoring the solitude. Your heartbeat finally feels steady again, matching the quiet of the evening. You unwrap your sandwich slowly, take a bite, chewing thoughtfully. The silence of your room contrasts sharply against the cacophony of earlier. You think back to the morning, adrenaline, greed, excitement. Then midday, hesitation, doubt creeping quietly. And finally, the afternoon, the slow unraveling, certainty replaced by fragile hopes. Outside your window, city lights shimmer against the night sky. Cars drift past quietly, their headlights creating soft trails of light. You feel strangely detached from it all, an observer now, no longer a participant. Today's market drama feels distant already, like something you witnessed rather than lived. You finish your sandwich quietly, not tasting much, hunger now replaced by something softer, less urgent. Your eyes drift to the small desk in the corner. Piles of papers, scattered notes, research printouts from last night. They seem oddly innocent now, relics from another lifetime, before today taught its lessons. Standing slowly, you move to the window and open it slightly. Cool air drifts inside, carrying faint scents of rain, exhaust, and distant food carts. You close your eyes, inhaling deeply. The chaos of the trading floor is entirely absent here, replaced by an evening so gentle it almost feels unreal. You begin to wonder about Marcus, Jake, Frank, and everyone else who filled the trading floor today. How are they spending this evening? Are they reflecting, regretting, celebrating quietly? Are they also standing by windows, looking out into the night, trying to understand what just happened? You realize that this is the hidden truth of your profession. Days like today aren't remembered just in numbers, profits, or losses. They're remembered quietly, privately, in these small hours of reflection, when the adrenaline fades and reality sets back in. This is when you really measure the day, when you know if you're truly ahead or quietly slipping behind. In the silence, you reach out and switch on a small lamp. Warm amber light fills the room softly, illuminating everything gently. No harsh screens, no flashing tickers, no relentless pressure. Just your quiet room filled with silence in your thoughts, reminding you how quickly fortunes, emotions, and illusions can shift. You stand by the window for a moment longer, watching Manhattan drift gently toward night, thinking of the days ahead. Today was important, significant, but it was still just one day, one page in a longer story. Tomorrow will bring new choices, new challenges, and opportunities to do better, to learn from today. As you finally step away from the window, a quiet resolve forms inside you, a promise to yourself to remember today's lessons clearly. Not just the numbers, not just the trades, but the subtler things, the shifts in the room, the moments of hesitation, the truths that whispered quietly through the noise. The city outside has fully surrendered to evening now. Street lamps glow warmly, cars glide softly down distant avenues, and life continues its gentle rhythm. You feel more connected to that quiet now than to the noise you faced this morning. You're ready to rest, to reset, to wake up tomorrow stronger, wiser, and clearer. You move quietly toward your bed, your thoughts softer, calmer, guided now by reflection rather than adrenaline. The day ends, not with victory or defeat, but simply with a quiet acknowledgement of yourself, of the day, and of the stillness finally returning. You sit quietly at your desk, the room bathed in the gentle amber glow of your desk lamp. Spread before you are notes scribbled in haste throughout the day. Numbers, tickers, quick calculations, and half-finished thoughts. They seem distant now, like fragments of someone else's fevered dream. You run your fingers gently across the pages, ink smudged from sweat or nervous fingertips, words barely legible. LNUX 299, Akamai breakout, CMGI downgrade. Each phrase is a small echo of the day's highs and lows, each representing a moment of certainty that later gave way to doubt. Reaching for a notebook on the shelf, you open it gently, turning pages that carry the weight of past lessons. Here, you find market wisdom scribbled in quieter moments. Never chase, respect gravity, greed peaks before markets. You smile softly, realizing these truths were waiting patiently, even as today's chaos unfolded. You pick up a pen and carefully write today's date at the top of a fresh page. You begin recording details, opening prices, peaks, pullbacks, subtle shifts in sentiment, not just to remember the numbers, but to crystallize how quickly confidence turned cautious, how fast euphoria turned into questioning whispers. Your phone buzzes softly. Marcus's name lights the screen. You pick up without hesitation, hearing fatigue and vulnerability in his voice immediately. "Was today normal?" he asks softly. You pause briefly, choosing your words gently. "No, but every trader has days like this, when the market shows you things you don't expect to see." Marcus is quiet on the line, absorbing your words. You can almost feel him nodding silently. After a pause, he continues, softer now, more reflective. "I thought I was smarter than this. I thought I'd see it coming." You reply calmly, kindly. "We all think that at first. Markets humble everyone eventually. The important thing is how you respond tomorrow." He thanks you quietly, and the call ends gently, leaving your room in stillness once again. You lean back in your chair, eyes drifting to the books lining your shelves, financial histories, accounts of past crashes, bubbles, and fortunes lost or found. Each one offers silent testimony that today's lessons have all been taught before. You pull down a well-worn volume titled Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds. Opening it gently, you flip to a page you know well, about tulip bulbs, fortunes made and lost overnight. Irrational exuberance that feels so clear in hindsight. You read a passage quietly, whispering each word softly, letting it resonate deeply within you. Closing the book, you reflect on Danny's warnings, Frank's quiet departure, and Jake's desperate bravado as the day unwound. You see clearly now how each person handled the shift, how Marcus froze, Jake fought denial, Frank quietly withdrew. Each reaction was different, yet each came from the same impulse, to cope with uncertainty when the market's story changed. The city outside grows softer, distant traffic a low hum beneath your window. You rise briefly to pour tea from the kettle, the steam rising gently as you fill your cup. Returning to your desk, you sit quietly, sipping thoughtfully, your mind replaying moments of subtle hesitation, warnings you ignored or embraced, chances seized or passed by. You open your journal once again, writing deliberately this time. Today, the market taught me the difference between confidence and overconfidence. It showed me how thin the line is between bravery and recklessness, between belief and illusion. You underline the words gently, pausing to let their meaning sink deeper. You think again about Marcus's voice, uncertain, humble, changed. You hope he truly heard your message tonight, that trading is not about avoiding mistakes, but learning deeply from each one. That today's humbling is tomorrow's wisdom, if one can quiet the ego enough to truly listen. Outside your window, the city lights flicker softly. High-rise offices dim as workers head home, leaving behind empty rooms that hold secrets of their own. Boardroom decisions, tough conversations, quiet victories, hidden defeats. You realize again how many stories unfold each day, hidden behind every lit window, every moving silhouette. You reach quietly for your phone once more, checking markets overseas. Asia's open, already responding quietly to today's US moves. No panic yet, just careful adjustments, cautious rebalancing. The cycle continues gently, the world turning, absorbing one day's lessons and preparing softly for the next. Your thoughts return once more to tomorrow. Not in anxiety or fear, but with quiet respect. You've been here before, felt these quiet shifts and subtle warnings. Today's events, though intense, were familiar reminders that markets are neither friends nor enemies. They simply reflect human nature, with all its bravery, greed, and occasional fear. You close your notebook slowly, its cover gently tapping the desk. The sound is soft but final, a quiet declaration that today is complete, that its lessons have been gathered, recorded, internalized. Now, all that remains is rest and readiness for tomorrow's open, whatever it brings. You glance once more at the clock, just past 9, the evening deepening quietly. Rising slowly, you move toward your bed, switching off lights softly as you pass. Your thoughts, calmer now, drift gently towards sleep. Today was not easy, not predictable, but it was valuable. And that value lies in the quiet wisdom gained from reflection. In bed, eyes closing softly, you realize these quiet moments, after the day's chaos, after numbers fade, are the true measures of trading. This clarity, this humility, these lessons are what truly matter, more than any profit or loss. Today ended with you wiser, more aware, and ready to face tomorrow with steady, patient resolve.